Today's review would be a very long review if I did every edition of Warhammer 40,000 Tabletop Game Edition and all the side games that are out there. So today I'm just looking into what I played, which was the Warhammer 40,000 3rd and 4th edition rules. Since my memory serves, not much really changed between them since the editions. So since I was a teen, me and my friends saw a Games Workshop site and went into the store and went into the world of tabletop gaming and looked at the game Warhammer 40,000. Since us being teens and two of us being metalhead, it looked gritty, dark, and of course the artwork looked something out of a metal cover. Since this is the only thing I'm mostly updated on in the Warhammer 40k universe, this is a story you can really sink your teeth into in this part of the game. The grim dark, where everyone's a bad guy in their own twisted way, that factions, races, everything is pretty much bad in its own way. And it's so packed full of lore and history and culture for each race in the game. It's the granddaddy of all grimdark. And it gives the game so much life when you play it, and then when you play the game actually on tabletop, you can actually imagine this going on, which is such an excellent thing about the game. There's books, there's games, there's everything about Warhammer 40k. I even based my Wrath and Glory campaign in a what-if scenario using a mix of the Warhammer lore that we have now, the 40k version, and the Emperor Has Text Me Device, a comedy series that is on YouTube. Go and check them out. Seriously, it is so funny. And if you're a Warhammer fan, they got loads of references and jokes. There is too much to say, because if I tried to say all the story of Warhammer 40k with every faction and the lore as a whole, we would be here for hours or even weeks just explaining it all. So if you want to check it out, check out 40k Theories, and again, What If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device. They explain the lore pretty well and put it simple and come up with really awesome theories. One of the stories I'm going to explain is Humanity's story, because again it's so packed, but I'm going to say simply because again, Humanity side of things, each race has their own really compact and full lore, as well as the universe itself. So here's Humanity's, dumbed down to the most basic what you need to know about humanity. At the start of humanity, there was a golden age thanks to a very powerful psychic human called the Emperor. But thanks to Horus Heresy, hundreds and thousands of years later, humanity was on the edge of destruction, and even then, 10,000 years since, it has been on the edge of destruction still. And on the front lines, we have the Imperial Guard, the Sisters of Battle, the Adeptus Mechanicus, and the last line of humanity's defense, the Space Marines. Putting the story in one faction, and even those factions humanity have really in-depth lore. I would be here all day. I am not joking you, I will be here all day, all week, even a month, just literally explaining everything about Warhammer 40k. So we are going to move on to the game itself. Please if I get anything wrong, but this is what I remember from playing 4th and 3rd edition. So let's go back. When you first you need to pick your army that you're going to collect, paint, and play with, obviously. For me, it, at the time, was the Blood Angels, but I made up my own chapter called the Golden Marines, but playing by the Blood Angels chapter of the Space Marine rules. When you pick up a codex and an army you're using, you're going to need a few things other than just the codex and the army that you are going to buy, paint, and play with. You will need a rulebook, blast templates of big, small, and flame, and I think there's others out now, a tape measure with inches on it, a Warhammer 40k models, obviously, and their code and the army's corresponding codex, and a shit ton of D6. I am not joking you. You'll probably need, I'd say, at least 50. That's just for a small army, maybe. But if the bigger the army, the more D6s you will need to bring in store. I am not joking you. Trust me on this, you will need lots. Once you got that out of the way, find a friend to play and find a table. And I mean, you're gonna need a pretty big table, or if not, find your local Games Workshop store. You can actually book games there or go on there on a certain day to play. Now, on to the actual game itself. Once you got everything you need, now you can play a few scenarios. Battle to the death, obviously, capture the point, custom scenario, or any kind of special event. And there are more types of games to play. Like literally within this game, it is insane. Once you have declared how much points you're going to be spending making your armies, this is important, by the way, to do to balance things out. You will spend these points on squads, leaders, vehicles, and aircraft on each unit for their points cost. and any extras onto that unit will cost points as well. Once you have sorted out the point system, it is time to wage war on your enemy and roll 1d6 to see who goes first in the game. And then we shall begin. There are 3 phases to this game: movement, shooting, assault. For the movement phase, most units, from what I remembered from the 4th and 3rd edition, most units can only move 6 inches unless they have special rules or special sort of things to make them move further or slower. Second phase, again, is the shooting phase. So this is where things starts again to be a little bit fun. First, you have to declare who you're shooting at before you even measure anything. Also, you must also make sure your models are in the line of sight of what you're firing at. Then you measure out to see if your model's in range. After that, you can shoot, which means I'm going to show a table here now. This is for fighting in general with assault or shooting. You use this table to declare how much you need to shoot, and each model should have a shooting value depending on what weapon they're holding. So you need to look up their stats. This is where your rule books and your codexes will have to come in. So remember this, guys. This is, if you want to start, this is like essential. It sounds complicated, but once you get the hang of it, you will. You first roll to shoot with your character's ballistic skill, and then you go to wound, your weapon strength versus their toughness, and then your opponent will throw a saving throw. Now, if they fail it, they lose a wound, but if they only have 1 wound, that model dies and they're off the table for good. Last phase is the assault phase. Now, if your models from base contact to base contact are within 6 inches, you move the models towards 6 inches for the assault phase. Now, this is where the assault phase is the same but different. You challenge each other's stats, you do the hit, you do the wound, you do the kill, as I call it. But there's one thing. Depending on the initiative, one squad or one unit will go first before the other. Also, during your turn on the assault phase, the enemy will fight back after or before you. So just remember that this is a risk versus reward, so you need to think strategy very carefully. Even though these are simple mechanics and I have literally explained the very basics of it, there are special rules and psychic powers, and there's a lot more involved with it, and it goes a lot deeper. This is why Games Workshop, they have different levels of play: beginner, advanced, master. I don't know if they still do this in Games Workshop, but trust me, it's an easy game to learn but a hard game to master when you need to put all the stats and things involved. This is why you do need your codexes, people. And I could tell you, and again, I could go on for months to explain the whole game to you. But anyways, prepare for a 1 to 3 hour bloodbath. Usually that's how long Warhammer 40,000 games last. They usually last round about that long, sometimes longer, but that depends on how big your army is and what type of scenario you are playing. Overall, the game is really fun, but with confusing rules here and there once you go deeper. So if you want to take this up as a hobby, painting models and warring tabletop game with a deep lore and great story, this is the game for you. Seriously, guys, I cannot recommend this game enough to play once you get the rules. It is so much fun, especially when you let your imaginations run wild, how the death scenes play out. Quite glory, actually, if you're into that sort of thing. So, what are my final thoughts on Warhammer 40,000? I love the game. It is brilliant. The story's brilliant. Everything about it's brilliant. But there is one glaring flaw which put me off playing. And sadly, that is the cost of the models and how many times they have renditioned the rules. I mean, not just the rules for each army, but the rules, main core rules as a whole. They keep changing it. And it's now gotten to the point with me where I've just given up. And I will play maybe 4th or 5th edition, or someone's willing to teach me the 9th edition, but they do it too often now, and it's almost a yearly basis when they change the rules for armies and for the main rules a lot. So I don't even know if the rules have particularly stayed the same since then. but I know there has been a lot of changes, and they keep like putting out. They are literally on 9th edition, which is releasing soon now. My one criticism, Games Workshop, and please, if you do hear me, I love you guys. I love the Warhammer 40k games. I love the lore, but you do need to reduce your prices a little bit to make it more accessible to everyone. And on top of that, stop changing the rules so regularly. This is where it becomes a big problem for you guys. You have this awesome game, this awesome lore, but you are changing it and hiking the prices so much, it's becoming inaccessible for a lot of people. And it is such a shame when it is a brilliant hobby game. So my advice to you guys is maybe introduce a system where you keep the core rules, and that will be it for the next 5 to 7 years, which will then be fine for when the next rulebook comes out. But keep the core rules the same, but maybe do something like Magic the Gathering, have keywords for specific units, so you don't have to keep changing the rules every goddamn time. And then when you renew the rules, then you could do like a supplement, or have a PDF file and people sign up to your thing, maybe like £10 a month, so they have access to all the rules and codexes. But once it's changed, you just change a certain bit of text here and there, and have keywords as well, just to help everyone keep track of the game. So that would be my strongest advice to you guys, and just lower the price of the models a little bit. Or even so, with the app as well, maybe make an online playable version. Again, £10 a month, they get access to codexes, the armies, and maybe an online playable version of Warhammer 40k. Because I think then that would make it so much more better for everyone in general. There you go. That is my thoughts for Warhammer 40,000 tabletop game, 4th and 5th edition. If you do want me to do a review for the latest edition of the game, let me know, and I will try and sort out with a friend to walk with me 9th edition and maybe have a little game on the PC, because I'm not willing to buy models and spend hundreds of pounds on it just to review it. So maybe we find a way to do that, then yes, I will do that for you guys and do an update video for this. Anyways, guys, see you later. This is James Vamp. True Small Scenes. I'll see you all later. Bye. If you want to buy all 3 volumes of my manga series, Vamp, you can buy them via Amazon as an ebook, or get them directly off me through on my website. Also, if you want to support me by any other means, I do have a Patreon, so please drop by today and check out what kind of cool stuff you can get out of being my Patreon. And I'll see you all later. Bye.